Salam alaikum. Dzień dobry. Ciao. Konnichiwa. Bonjour. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Ken at 10. How are you today? If you haven't been here before, it's 10 o'clock, and that's why we call it Ken at 10. We're here every day. We're James Alexander Estate Agents based in southwest London, southwest 16 to be precise, Norbury, and that's between Streatham and Croydon. And today, here, we talk about property and all things general, really. News, the markets, what's going on in the property market for sales and lettings. Here in Norbury right now, it's cold, it's very cold, but not as cold as it was yesterday. No snow, no ice about, starting to melt, and things are looking a little bit more optimistic, but we understand we have rain coming, so there we are. Lots of things to talk about today, including a sex for rent scandal. We'll come to that later on, because I know you'll want to hear about that. Starting off with research from Aston's has found that house prices in the capital's richest areas have fallen by as much as 40%. 40, can you believe it? Prices in West 1 in Mayfair and St James's have seen markdowns from as much as 4.9 million to 2.9 million. Wow, that is huge. And they say that the silver lining is that there is more interest now from overseas buyers. Yeah, try telling that to the guy that just lost a couple of mil. I don't think he'd see as much of a silver lining, but there we are. And what about the vaccine rollout? Europe stopping the supplies getting over here. One stat that I heard this morning, which surprised me, but I suppose, you know, that's the European bureaucracy for you. France, the amount of people vaccinated in the whole of France is the same amount of people that we vaccinated yesterday. That's how far ahead we are. No wonder they're jealous. One good thing's come out of the European split. Huh? So let's hope that we keep on getting the rest of the supply. So anyway, back to property. What else have we got going on? Pandemic creates trend of extreme relocation. Well, we've been saying this for a while, haven't we? But this is a headline in the papers, and I'm not sure which one this came from, but basically what they're saying, it was a Hamptons International report, and it found that Londoners bought almost 74,000 homes outside the capital last year, the highest level in 4 years. And new data shows that the number of people moving for more than 200 miles away from their previous home was up marginally, but the distance of Londoners fleeing was 40 miles or more, the highest in a decade. And that's interesting, isn't it? And it goes to underline really what we've been saying for a while, and the sentiment from valuations when we're going around to see people. The Zoom generation now, people are going out, they're commuting via Zoom as opposed to commuting into the office in London. And they're taking that opportunity to live somewhere beautiful, more beautiful than where they are now. Of course, Norbury's beautiful. But if you can have that traded off for a view of perhaps mountains or the coast, well, you know, it's quite hard to argue, isn't it? But you wouldn't be close to our beautiful city of London, although we can't go there now anyway. So it's a bit of a non-issue really, isn't it? Anyway. The other thing is talking about the new reforms to leasehold laws. Now, we've been speaking about this for a while now. The legislation is going through Parliament. Apparently, it should go through by the spring of 2023 to make it easier to buy the freehold or extend your leases to 990 years at zero ground rent. But the government are trying to stop that from applying to the Royals, controversially. And of course, Labour peers are backing the campaign to make sure that they're included too. We'll see what happens there. What else is going on? Sex for rent, a landmark case, shock, horror, scandal. A man has been charged in connection with sex for rent allegations in what is believed to be the first case of its kind. A man called Christopher Cox, who's a landlord from Cranley in Surrey, seedy little landlord he is, will face 2 counts of inciting prostitution for gain and 1 count of controlling prostitution for gain. The charges follow evidence passed by Surrey Police. That's in the Telegraph, following a Jeremy Kyle investigation. One programme I never get to watch. I think I'm kind of glad that I miss out on that one. So yeah, that's it in terms of headlines today. What have we got going on? We've got lots of progressing to do today, lots of sales that are under pressure to make sure they meet that deadline. In fact, I was offered a new service yesterday of outsourcing all of the progression, and at the moment, that progression is so critical to our success. We do it in-house, and we do our very best, and we make sure that every efficiency is made wherever possible, because that is the critical bit right now. A lot of people are asking me what's going to happen post that deadline. If the deadline is hard, if Rishi doesn't extend it, what will happen to those sales? And a lot of people are thinking they're all going to fall through. That's not what I believe will happen. Most people, yes, they want to take advantage of this deadline, but the other side of the coin is they definitely want their sale to go through regardless. There's a lot of hoops to jump through when you're selling a house. Yes, having that stamp duty advantage is one thing. There are other ways around that. You know, you can start negotiating with chains. If you've got 10 people in a chain, someone's lost 10,000 at the bottom, you can collect that money by a small reduction from each of the sales above. You can distribute those savings across the group in the most relevant way, or you can just concede on the price if you cash anyway and everybody comes down a bit, then it's same, isn't it? If none of those things happen and the guys at the bottom want a reduction and the rest of the people still want to move, you will find some people will concede. You'll also find some will pull out. It really does depend on individual circumstances, but I believe that most people genuinely will not want their sales to fall through regardless of whether they meet that deadline or not. They'll find ways, we'll find creative ways, we'll do all we can to hold those sales together. There's no magic bullet, but there are lots of little things that we can do, lots of little angles that we can look for that might help hold those sales together. And I think what we'll find is there will be a drop off, but it won't be as disastrous as some are predicting. And certainly we won't see a whole range of panic selling come the end of that deadline. Some people may give up, and there will be those obviously that will reduce because they're in a hurry in the short term, but I don't believe that will be a long-term trend. That might be a short-term fix for some. Most people will either hang on, or there'll be some sort of concessions made all the way up and down chains in order to make it happen. People don't do this just because the stamp duty deadline is there. So many other motivational reasons. You know, we've spoken about this yesterday in terms of, you know, people are thinking about life being short now. You know, having lost loved ones, you suddenly realize that if you want to make that move, then you know, now might be as good a time as any. So you know, I do think that most sales will manage to stay the pace and will get through most. I'm confident of that. We'll see. We're certainly doing our best. Some things are outside of our control, but where we have quality solicitors at the top and the bottom, then things can happen. Where we don't, well, then we'll struggle, we'll push on, we'll put pressure where it's needed. We're also saying that a lot of solicitors where they are struggling to cope now, we're suggesting to buyers that certain firms should be avoided where possible if you want to meet that deadline. And I know that's harsh because sometimes these are good firms, but they're just under-resourced and they're not coping well with the level and volume of business that they never anticipated. And therefore, we're finding that you can't get return calls, you can't get information. And if we can't get information on the current sales, how's that going to help when we get a new sale and that same solicitor is used? So listen up, solicitors. If you're involved with agents, agents do get a say in this. And if you want to keep business flowing your way, make sure you return people's calls or send emails and keep them in the loop about what's going on. Because as long as we're in the loop, we can advise our clients of what's going on, then confidence is there, things can continue as normal. It's when it all goes quiet and nobody's responding to anybody, that's when it gets really frustrating. So hope you have a great day today. We got lots going on, lots of inspections today and a couple of valuations. Hope you have a good day, and we'll be back same time tomorrow with another Ken at 10. Have a fantastic day.